Hello, fellow stampers. This is Yana Smakula for SimonsStamp.com. Welcome back for another Yippee For Yana video. Today I have a foiled happiness card to share using some older goodies from Simon and new hot foil plates from Spellbinders and Laurie Willison. If you have been following my videos for some time, you know how much I adore hot foiling. And in planning this card, I wanted to add some simple foiling to the background and decided to do that with these new hot foil plates. Here I have my Glimmer hot foil system. I've had it on for a few minutes now, and so it is good and hot and ready to go. And you can tell that it is ready to go by the two lights, the red light and the green light next to the red. Here are the Glimmer plates that I've been talking about. These are called foiled brushstroke glimmer plates, and these are designed by Laurie Willison. I personally love Laurie's clean and simple style, and I couldn't resist using those plates for my card today. Now, the set includes several brushstroke plates and also stripe plates. I'm going to use the brushstroke plates for the most part and just one skinny stripe plate in between the brushstrokes. I've set the plates on my Glimmer machine and I have pressed the timer button to begin heating them up. In the meantime, I'm cutting my foil to size and I'm using gold foil for this project. I picked several colors of cardstock for my foiling today as I typically like to foil several pieces at once. This just saves time and allows me to be more productive. Now with these Glimmer plates or any other Glimmer plates that have a lot of solid space to them, I like to heat them up several times to get best results. Here you can see that I've just undocked my platform and immediately docked it back in, and now I'm waiting for the second light to turn green again. That will tell me that the platform is hot enough again, and then I will press the timer button again. So basically, I'm heating these plates twice before ever using them to foil. What I have found that the more you use plates like these, and by these I mean plates with a lot of solid space, and use them in a single sitting, the better results you will get. So basically, the hotter the plates will get, the better results they will give you. Here, I'm sending my plates through my deep sea die-cutting machine from Spellbinders, and I'm going very slowly to apply pressure and foil the design on the paper. Once I remove the plates and the paper and peel the foil, you can see the beautiful result. But the result isn't perfect. It looks really good, but I would like it to be perfect. If you are a perfectionist like me, just keep foiling and you will get there, I promise you. By the time you foil the fourth or the fifth time, these plates will get perfectly hot and will give you ideal results. Also, another thing to keep in mind is paper. The type of paper you're foiling on matters a great deal. I was able to get great results on some colored cardstock, but on other colors and types of cardstock, I was having troubles. The smoother your paper is, the better the foiled result is going to be. At one point, I actually foiled my plates completely by accident, and that does happen. This doesn't affect the plates, and you can still keep using them like this. If you, however, would like to remove the foil from your plates, although why would you, gold plates just look amazing. If you would like to remove the foil from your plates, just use a sticker remover like Undo and that will do the trick. I would not recommend scraping the foil off as you might scratch the plates and that will affect the foiling in the future. Now here's a piece where I got absolutely perfect foil results on smooth white cardstock. It is so pretty and I feel inspired by just looking at this foiled piece. I kept on foiling these brushstrokes a bunch more times on various colors of cardstock, and I just saved the foiled pieces for future cards. Now here are the two white panels side by side. The one that I foiled first is in my right hand, and you can see all the little imperfections. And the one I foiled after about 4 or 5 other foiled panels is in my left hand, and that one is absolutely perfect. I set my foiled panels aside and then I moved on to regular stamping. I really wanted to stamp and color several flowers for my card, so I pulled out my older stamp set from Simon. This is Even More Spring Flowers set, and I picked several flowers and leaves and stamped them in Simon's Intense Black ink onto white cardstock. I did use my new black Misty tool. I just adore the new design of this Misty, and I double and even triple stamped my images to have perfect black outlines. I really love this stamp set, and I've been using it for several years now. Every time the spring is just around the corner or has just arrived, I cannot resist but use this stamp set to make pretty cards. Now this time, I really paid a lot of attention to the coloring, and I used more than my typical number of markers to color these images. If you follow me, you know that I basically like to go for simple and quick coloring, and I use just 2 to 3 markers. To color the leaves green here, I started by applying the lightest color, YG01, onto the entire surface of the leaves. Next, I used YG03 and shaped, so to speak, leaving just a small highlight in the center of each. Next, I used a YG17 marker and started adding shadows to each of the leaves. I added shading to the base of the leaf and also followed any curves that the leaves had. Next, I brought in my really dark green markers. First, G94, and I added darker shadows to the base of my leaves, trying to make the coloring as natural as possible. And finally, I used the darkest green I have in my stash, G99, and made those shadows really, really dark. With all of the colors applied, I went back to the YG17 marker and blended the darkest colors together, adding more definition to the leaves. Next, I used YG03 and did even more blending, making sure not to go over the center highlight area. And finally, I used the lightest YG01 marker and blended my entire coloring even further. I love the result, and I think it was well worth the effort. I used the same approach to color flowers, and I used different colors for each. I started with the RV00 and applied it all over the petals, laying my base color. Next, I, once again, shaped each petal using RV10 marker. I went back to the RV00 and blended the two colors together. Next, I started defining the shadow areas and used RV23 marker for that. Again, I went back to the RV10 and blended the colors together. I did not do as much blending when coloring the leaves because the area of the leaves was smaller. Here, on the other hand, the petals are larger, and thus I can do more blending easier. Lastly, I used RV14 marker, my darkest pink, to really deepen those shadows. I went back to RV23 to blend the colors together and then blended them some more with the RV10 marker. For my next flower, I used yellow markers. I went with Y00 as my lightest color. Next, I shaped the petals, so to speak, with a Y11 marker. I added shadows with Y13 marker. Now, I'm speeding this part of the video more as I'm basically repeating the same technique. I'm just using different colors of markers. And finally, I created deeper shadows with Y35 marker. I went back and blended everything using the lightest color. My third flower was colored using light red markers. I used R20 as the base color, R22 to shape the petals, and R24 to add shadows. I have a rather limited number of markers in my stash, and I simply don't have enough colors to do really complex blending. But after coloring these flowers, I'm actually planning to go and order some additional markers for my stash. I think it's time I expanded my collection by at least a few markers. With my coloring done, I cut the images out using coordinating dies. Next, I trimmed the foiled panel to 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I also cut sentiments from Simon's All Things Happy sentiment strips. I've grown to really love those strips. The fact that they are really nice dark black is what is appealing to me the most. I trimmed 2 sentiments, one that reads, "Always be happy," and another skinny sentiment that reads, "You deserve nothing but happiness." I foam mounted the foiled panel onto A2 top folding fog card base, and then I used foam adhesive squares to foam mount the flowers on top. I also used my white Sakura pen and I colored the flower centers white. I think that really helped my flowers pop. I also used the same pen to clean any marker bleeding. My coloring wasn't perfect and the marker bled in a few places on nearly every image that I colored. But the beauty of using a white pen is that it is able to easily cover that up. To add additional dimension to my card, I die cut 3 layers for that last flower die cut. I adhered the layers together and then adhered them behind the last flower. Now, the other 2 flowers were foam mounted onto the card, and I wanted to pop that last flower even more, but I didn't really want to add a double layer foam adhesive. So here I used 3 layers of cardstock and a single layer of foam squares to add dimension. It's an easy yet neat trick. Next, I added the leaves and foam mounted the sentiments in place. I did use my Misty Cut Align ruler to help me align the sentiments and make sure I had them adhered straight on the card and not at an off angle, which really happens quite often with me. I embellished the card using Simon's satin gown sequins, and that finished my project. Here's a look at the finished card. You can see how beautifully the foiling shines in the background and complements the flowers. I hope you'll give this idea a try. If you make a card inspired by this video, we love it if you shared your project online and tagged us on social media. We always enjoy seeing what you guys are making. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet done so. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.